Number sense and fact fluency is our main goal today. And when I talk about fluency, kind of a complex idea, but it's flexibility. The kids understand numbers, how to move the numbers, how to manipulate the numbers, and do different things that make sense to them. Typically, they have several methods that they can go back to. They can explain what they were doing. There's the doorbell. There and it's about them being able to answer within an efficient way. And efficient looks different for every student, kind of similar to how reading is different for every student. One kid's reading speed doesn't mean that they're any better or faster as long as their comprehension is still there. My daughter herself is a very, very slow reader. And even then, she has to really think about that comprehension. So it's not necessarily efficient. Other kids might be a very slow reader, but their comprehension is on key. So that's where we're looking, is the comprehension piece to go along with the math facts, is understanding. Our actual Missouri learning standards, this is the actual wording within our standards. Any standard K6 that states the word fluency will have this little note that says, while automaticity is desired, quick use of mental strategies may suffice. And it also explains that fluency refers to accuracy and efficiency, but not memorization. And I think those words sometimes cause some confusion. What's the difference between memorizing something and being automatic with something? So I found this quote on tapintoTeenMinds.com, and it really resonated with me because it says, regardless of our beliefs. So we've got the beliefs that we got to go back to the basics and just practice, 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 and just drill, drill, drill. Others have that mindset of discovery and inquiry, playing with the numbers, experiencing the numbers. And he's saying that regardless of that, the fact is that we all want students to know their math facts. And I think that's true for everyone in our district. We all want our kids to know their math facts. That's not the question. But the real conflict exists in the interpretations of what that means and how we help them get there. So memorizing, the best way I can explain this, or the best analogy I found, is it's like a jump drive. Some of our kids have a jump drive that can hold endless amounts of data, and they can memorize all sorts of things and pull it back out year after year after year. Other kids have a limited jump drive. They can memorize it for the 15 minutes that they need it to take their test, but next year it's not there anymore. Their capacity hits a max and it kicks out unimportant information. And to our brains, that memorized fact is not important information. So memorization is not our key, because memorizing doesn't last forever. I memorized my presidents in 6th grade. I can't do them now. We don't want memorizing. We do want it to be automatic, where they just need to think for a little bit. Here it is with a math fact. The memorization is committing the results of unrelated operations to memory so that there's no computation necessary. Memorization is in K1 when I know that 3 and 2 make 5. I don't know why, but 2 and 3 always make 5. We've seen these kids that it really messes them up when they get to 3rd grade or 4th grade, and now 3 and 2 make 6. Everything they did memorize is no longer applicable, and they have to remember when is 3 and 2 5 and when is 3 and 2 6. And so now they're memorizing an entire double set of operations. Versus automaticity, it's produced quickly, maybe in a few seconds, but they actually think about the relationship. They're picturing in their head 3 of this and 2 over here. I've got 3 and I've got 2, so I have all 5. They might have a strategy like 2 and 2 is 4, so 1 more is 5. And it's efficient. There's no frustration. They don't have to draw it out. It's not 2 times 25 and I'm counting 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 25 times. That's not efficient. So we do want it to be quick, but it doesn't necessarily have to be this quick. It might take one student a little bit longer than the other student, as long as they're not hitting a frustration. Number sense is kind of our key to reaching that fluency. And we're going to look at how to build that number sense, because that's going to kind of be our goal. And the big thing here is Christina says it short and sweet. It can't be taught. I can try and say it and do it over and over and over and over, but they have to catch that number sense. They have to experience it and see it and believe it and actually understand it because they heard it. So here's my goal in this PD, or in setting up these slides. I really want to get a clear and consistent focus K6. We're all trying something. Every grade level is doing something, but then it doesn't necessarily connect from grade to grade to grade because we're all doing our own thing. We're all planning separately. We're all doing things in a way that makes sense to us. If we can keep a clear and consistent focus on the 4 key relationships, I'll show that on the next slide. The 4 key relationships are what research shows will build number sense. If the kids can do these 4 key things, they're going to build number sense and make more sense of their numbers. And then also build in operation mental strategies, things that they can do quickly in their head without paper and pencil that will help them reach that automatic stage. This is meant to be something for math review time. If you don't do math review and you have a carpet time or class discussion, it might be transition times when you're lining up to go out the door or in between sections. Now, you guys are strapped for time, all of you. I know that. So something might have to give. I would look for wherever you're doing any type of review. Maybe you're doing 5 review problems at the beginning of every class. Cut that down to 1 or 2 and do this instead for the rest of that time. We just have to find a way to prioritize it. And this was not required for everyone to show up, but in the end, we want to get this to where every classroom is on board doing the same consistent goals. So that way, whatever they did in K2, when they come to you in 3-6, the same math talks will connect back to the exact same strategies that everyone is focusing on. I think that consistency is the one piece that we're missing. We have lots of pockets of it happening, but then they might come to you and the teacher that had them before didn't focus on the same types of strategies. So now you're starting back from scratch. So that's kind of the goal. Here's the 4 key relationships. I'm going to skip to the next slide. They're the same for K2 as they are for 3-6. However, in 4th, 5th, and 6th, we're going to also attach those to fractions and decimals. The same ideas will work for fractions and decimals. The spatial relationships is the subitizing and the visual pictures, the structure. 1 and 2 more, 1 and 2 less. I told the last group, I think is one of those strategies that I underestimated the power of it. And I'm starting to see the power of it. And I think we need to harness that power for our kids. They focus on 1 and 2 more in kindergarten and first, then it later becomes 10 more and 20 more. And then it becomes 100 more, 200 more. Our 5th and 6th graders can be using this for 1/10 more, 100th more, 100th less, 1/10 less, and using that exact same number sense strategy. With fractions, we can be doing what's 1/4 more, what's 1/8 more, what's 1/12 more. It's the exact same strategy and it'll connect back to the number sense they already have. Prior, they've done benchmarks of 5 and 10. We're gonna pull that to benchmarks of 1 whole or whatever the next place value is. So if I'm doing fractions and I have 32 hundredths, I might get them to the next tenths if I'm estimating, or it's going to be how far away is it to 1 whole? How far away is it from 0? And building the number sense that way. And then we look at part, whole, which again, relating it back to the same strategies that K2 have done. And according to John Van de Wall, that's my favorite teaching resource book, these are those main key 4 components that'll help kids build flexibility into their thinking. On top of those 4 strategies, 3 through 6 will have multiplication and division strategies built in. If you want to go back and focus more on addition and subtraction, I'll have the K2 slides available for everybody. I just feel like 3 through 6, the one that we need to focus more on is that multiplication and division fluency. So one last piece before I show you the slides that I've created. There's been a lot of research done about timed tests for fact fluency. I'm begging, and I know a lot of people have quit doing these. We've got to stop timing the kids, especially with them knowing it. There's no need for me to give them a sheet of facts and put 3 minutes up on the clock and make them watch that ticker tick down. It stresses me as an adult. It brings anxiety up for the kids. I understand that we might want to know how much they can do in 3 minutes. They don't have to know there's a 3-minute timer. They don't have to see a 3-minute timer. All the research shows that once that anxiety kicks in, their brains shut down, and everything they do know, they can't pull it back out of their brains because their brain is overly focused on that timer and what that means to them. So please, 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 let's take those clocks down and not do that to the kids. I'm not saying we can't give them an assessment with 20 facts on it or 30 facts or however many. I just want us to be more strategic about what that looks like. It could be a growth model. So, hey, this week you got 8 out of 20 facts. Correct. That's a really good place to start. Next week, let's set our goal. How many more facts do you want to be able to do the next time we do this? So that way it's not about getting it 100% complete, but it's about growing. And I got 3 more this week than I did last week. Focus on them just going through and doing the ones they do know. And I've told kids, just do the ones you're confident. You know, without a doubt, I have a way to figure this out in my head and do it. If you get those done and I haven't collected the test yet, then I want you to go back and start drawing pictures or models or showing a strategy that you would try for the rest of them. It gives them that okay, that I know you're not going to get all of these finished right now, but it helps me know which ones you do know and which ones you feel really comfortable with. Doing strategy-based assessments. So it might be an entire sheet and it's all focused around having. So we're going to do our 10 facts and our 5 facts on one page to see if they use their 10 facts to help with their 5 facts, something like that. Doing context problems where they're drawing the models or verbal assessments. And I know this is the hardest. The time factor for a verbal assessment is incredibly hard. To hear their thinking, to have them say it. Kathy, I know you and I have tried this in your classroom before. It's super time consuming, but the amount of information that we gleaned about the students doing it was well worth it because it helped us come up with our next game plan. One tool that we could use to our advantage, having 3rd through 6th graders, is Flipgrid. I could post a verbal assessment on Flipgrid for my kids, and let's say there's 5 multiplication problems, and their job is to record themselves answering them and telling me how they knew those facts. Then I could go back when I have the chance to sit down and listen to those 30-second videos and hear what the kids said. It didn't take away from my instruction time, but I'm still getting to hear what they had to say. So just an idea or a thought about how you might be able to fit in that verbal piece. As I mentioned before, it's not that you can't put a time limit that I'm not going to give them any more than 5 minutes to do this. I'm not telling them that. I'm not saying you only get 5 minutes, so hurry up and do everything that you can. That just stresses them out. We just need to make it low key. Show me the ones that you do know so I know which ones you need to keep practicing and working on. And if a kid has mastered a certain set of facts and they've shown that automatic, then there's no need for them to keep drilling that same set of facts. If they've got them, they've showed it, they've proven it, we can move on from that. So with that said, be done with my soapbox and show you the slides that I've started creating. I say starting, darn it, I did it again. I didn't want to close it. I just wanted to show you a new screen. Let me go back to that. So I've got 4 different sets of slides. I have one for 6th grade, one for 5th grade, one for 4th grade, and one for 3rd grade. And I've got a set for K2 as well. I say they're started because each one has about 20 slides, 20 to 30 slides. Some have more than others. Focused around specific strategies. And then my plan is to continue adding to this. Some of them are 1 slide a day. Some of them have 3 slides that go together. But if they have multiple slides, there's a different color in front to show you that that's a new one starting. What am I forgetting? Oh, I'll go back and continue adding to this. My goal is to add about 5 slides or enough for 5 days each week. So that way it's continually growing. I started with second quarter, but next year I want to have a first quarter ready to go right off the bat. And so some of these slides might move backwards. With me creating all of them, we can get the consistent piece that the same strategies are going to show up for all of the grade levels, and the kids will be able to connect back to the previous year because they've seen something similar. So again, I'm not trying to add more on, I'm trying to give you something to replace another piece with. So if you do a spiral review and you can replace this 3 of the days and do your spiral review 2 of the days, think through where you can exchange something or swap something out. Don't try to add it in on top of what you're already doing. So just to go through a few of these and kind of show you how they're set up. Some of them have speaker notes down below. Some I haven't gotten that far. So I will be adding in speaker notes that just give you an idea of what I would say or what type of questions to ask the students. 3rd through 6th grade, I started all of our slides focusing on fact fluency with multiplication. Let's get some of those consistent strategies throughout for everybody. So this is an example for 3rd grade. And the great thing about this Round Rock Independent School District, they created these with scaffolding. So it starts with pictures, then it moves to a partial picture, and then it moves to just numbers. So it works them through that progression of that CPA. So this first one, they show them how many dots do you see? How do you know? They've already built in the prompts for us. Same day, the next slide, how many dots do you see and how do you know? So the whole goal of these slides are the doubling strategy. I can see double 3s is 6, but now I doubled the 3 fact again, so I have double double. So I have 4 groups of 3, and we can try to get them to see 6 and 6, so that's 12. That's faster. And then the next one is 8. So they all set it up nice. Next one has images. Now it does it with arrays, where the array is doubling. The next day it continues until it goes to partial. This is where they move them to unitizing. Unitizing is when they can take a group as a number and not have to see the whole number anymore. So I could say, find my cube. I can say this represents 3, and every time you see this, think 3. They can't see 3 dots. They can't see a number frame anymore, but they can unitize that this represents 3. The next one is 3. The next one is 3. So in this, the strawberry, this represents $3. And every time I see another strawberry box, it's 3. I could even go in if I wanted to duplicate this. One basket is 3, so then how much would 4? And if you guys want, I can make these to where they're already duplicated and stacked, and you can just drag them out. The scaffolding is we want them to picture the 4 groups on their own. But if you have kids that still need to see 3, 3, 3, and 3 with the numerals, that's fine. Just duplicate that bad boy and let them see the 4 groups of 3. If you ever do this and you want to know the trick, because I'm just going to do it while I'm on this page. If you highlight all of them and then align vertically in the middle and align horizontally, now it looks like one picture. And when you drag them, they're all there. So just an idea for that. And then once it's done scaffolding from there, it goes to just numbers. Each blue slide indicates a new day. So there's 3 slides per day for this 3rd grade set. So now they're wanting them to just do the abstract. What's 2 groups of 6? How will that help us figure out 4 groups of 6? And then can they apply that same strategy to figure out 4 groups of 8? So I know 4 groups of 6 and 4 groups of 8 don't relate. But what they're doing is they want the kids to first do 2 groups of 8 in their head to figure out 4 groups of 8 on their own. So it's scaffolding them and taking that next step away from them. So that's an example of some of the slides in there for 3rd grade. 4th grade, some of these start out exactly the same because we want them consistently practicing the same strategies. But then I took it a step further for 4th grade. The same exact strategy with double digits. No pencil paper, we're wanting them to take that same strategy and double 12. And if I can double 12, well then how could I figure out 8 groups of 12? And if they've done all these other slides on previous days, we're taking away some of that support now and wanting them to put those strategies in place. Well, I could figure out 4 groups of 12 and double my 24 to 48. So I've got to double my 48 again and talk through it. You're discussing it, you're sharing it, you're recording down what the kids are saying to try and build up those mental strategies. And then in 5th grade, it starts straight at the unitizing. I skipped the other images because by 5th grade we should be at that unitizing phase from the get-go, but I still want to practice the strategies. And then we jump ahead. Okay, so here's the abstract. We do it with double digits. Now we're going to attach it to decimals. The exact same strategy from 3rd and 4th. If I can double 3 and 25 hundredths to get 6 and 50 hundredths, I can double that again to get 12, 13. So having them think through those exact same strategies, but now with different rational numbers, and then 6th grade as well. I think I talked a lot faster this time because we're getting through this way too quick. I thought I had it in there. I'll go back. I had fractions added in as well. So they were doubling the fractions and then doing 4 groups of the fraction and then 8 groups of the fraction. These are just the beginning slides. There's going to be more added. An example of another one I want to get added in here is something like this. Once we've focused on the doubling fact, I'm going to put up this screen and just ask them, tell me 2 that go together and why do they go together? Lots of correct answers here, but I want to pull out the knowledge that they have figured out. So if a kid connects 2 times 2 and 2 times 4, because I can just double this answer to find this answer, that's a good answer. Someone could say, well, I'm going to take 2 groups of 5 and connect it with 2 groups of 10 because I doubled my groups and I can just double my answer. We're just looking, can they take that strategy that we've been practicing and apply it? I'm not even asking them for the answers, just which problems connect and why. Where do you see the strategy in there? So I'll be adding more things like that. And after talking with the last group, I will keep adding notes down in the instructor box, not because I don't think you guys know what to say or what to do, but for the consistency piece so that we know everyone is focusing on the same thing within the slides. I offered, if it will be helpful, as I add another, maybe every 10 to 15 slides or something, I can make a short 5 to 10 minute video explaining what the purpose is and how to do that next set of slides, so that if it helps you to watch it and hear it first, you can do that and then take it and do it in your classroom. And of course, put your own spin on it, make it work for you and your kids with the way that you run your classroom, just as long as those strategies are staying consistent. Okay, I threw a lot at you and I talked really, really fast. So I want to stop for a second, see what questions you have or what things you're wondering, what suggestions you have for, the slides will be posted in our PD resource folders. I'll send out all the links to those again so you can find them. Make a shortcut button on your drive so you can get to them. And when I create the videos, we're trying to keep everything in one spot. Even within Google, it's hard to find our things sometimes. So if you go to the school district website and you go to staff, teacher resources and opportunities, it's basically a website for the instructional coaches. Anything that comes from us, any PD that we're offering, any videos that we make are coming to this website, so they're in one spot. What I can do is even add links. So if I go to this math section, right now there are some division videos posted from last year. I can go ahead and link all of our PD resource folders directly here. That way you can always find them back and know exactly where to go. What else? Anyone else have questions or things that you're wondering? If you try using it, let me know how it goes. Let me know what else you need added. If I don't put enough in the teacher comment box to help you and you're like, I need more of an explanation, let me know those things so I can add to it. I am more than happy to make these work for you. I just need to know what you need. All right, if there's no other questions, I'm going to let those go that need to go. I'll hang on here a few more minutes if you do have more questions, and just watch for that email. I'll send all the resources out. Thank you for taking the time to come.